My name is Mildred T. I'm the host and life coach of Let's Be Real About It. It's a talk show, and this show is where we can be true and we can be real about life issues. We can speak about the traumatic and devastating things that have occurred in our lives or that may be occurring right now at this present time. We will talk with people from all races, all cultures, all religions, all nationalities, because hurt, pain, devastation, and traumatic experience has the ability to affect us all. It doesn't care. It crosses boundaries. It has no respect to person. So nobody is exempt from it. So it's time that we face the truth. It's time that we be real about the truth. It's time that we face life and stop passing the buck, as it say, or the buck, as it say. It's time to stop pointing the finger. It's time to be real. It's time to be real about what's happening in your life. It's time to be real about the issues in your life, because I know you, like me, want to be delivered and want to be set free and healed. And this is your opportunity. So let's be real about life. Let's be real about what's happening in your life. Let's be real about the life situations. God bless. Hello and welcome to Let's Be Real About It, where we are real about real life issues. I'm your host, Mildred T. I must give you this disclaimer that this is a no holds barred zone, and therefore some of the contents of the show may be offensive to some, but that is not the intent of the show. But before I introduce my guest tonight, I do want to introduce my sponsors. We have Zion City of Deliverance and an anonymous sponsor, and J&K Style Grill.
What up, y'all? It's your boy back on stage. We here at J&K Style and Grill with my main man.
J&K Style Grill, home of the original waffle burger, stuffed wings, and Philly steak egg roll.
The food was amazing, man. I'm talking about collard green stuffed chicken, mac and cheese stuffed chicken, waffle burger with the special sauce. Come on, man. What are you doing if you ain't eating here? You're wasting your life.
Pull up.
J&K Style Grill, you can copy the style,
but never the best.
We got it.
We got it.
I want to invite you, if you're ever in the Virginia Beach area, please stop by J&K Style Grill, the location in College Park. Best chicken wings in Virginia Beach, best hot dogs in Virginia Beach, best burger in Virginia Beach. So please stop by and support J&K Style Grill. And I do want to go ahead and bring my guest on for tonight, Bernard Hurd. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I am well. Thank you for coming and being a part of the show for tonight. And I titled the show for tonight, 12 Steps of Recovery. And just to give you a little bit of background, and some of you may recognize him, he was a recent guest on the show back in May, and the title of his show was No Longer Slave to Drugs and Alcohol. And Bernard, we know that when we are slave, or when that slave mentality is there, whatever the master wants you to do, that is what, we do. We run and do whatever the master wants us to do, because we are slave and we are obedient to the master.
Yeah, chemical dependency. Yeah.
So I'm going to get you to go ahead and just introduce yourself.
My name is Bernard Hurd. Thanks for letting me be here. It's a pleasure. I am just retired. Happy about that. I'm a dad, and I am an addict. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. Fortunately, I found a program that allowed me to relieve myself of my addictions to use alcohol and drugs. And that's kind of what I guess we want to talk about today. Last time I talked about what had happened to me, as a result of drinking and using. But I think today we kind of wanted to touch on how I got away from that. Kind of wanted to touch on the fact that I went to rehab and they introduced me to a 12-step program. A while ago, a guy named Bill W. that went through some of the same things wound up making a book. It's called the AA Big Book. And in this book, I found 12 steps to live by. So I guess we kind of want to touch bases on some of those steps and what it did to relieve me of my alcohol addiction. So.
Okay. Well, it had its beginnings in 1935 in Akron, Ohio, between Bill and Dr. Bob. Bill was a New York stockbroker, and Dr. Bob was a surgeon. But the thing about both of them, they had been hopeless alcoholics. So that lets you know that it has no respect to person. Here you got a stockbroker and here you got a surgeon, but they was both alcoholics and labeled as hopeless. You know, it doesn't have boundaries. It doesn't have, and not one of us is exempt from an addiction, regardless of what that addiction may be. Alcoholic Anonymous has more than 2 million members in over 150 countries. So that just lets you know from Bill and from Dr. Smith in starting AA, just how many people, you know, over 2 million people. That's a lot of people with an addiction that have, let's say, has been addicted. You know, they're in recovery.
Right.
So in 150 countries, that speaks volumes, you know, just right there. So what do you think?
Yeah, one of the things about this addiction is our failure to be honest about it when we realize that we have no power over it. You know, for most of us, you know, drinking and drugs, you know, some of us it starts out as recreational, a fun thing, and it turns into a nightmare, you know, kind of like it did for me, you know. But there is a way out, you know. Later on in life, I found out, you know, and I pursued it with everything I had, and it worked for me. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it explains all of the things that an alcoholic may be going through. It also explains, you know, in the book it says, rarely have we, rarely does a person fail who follows this path. So in the book, it explains that these 12 steps, if you follow them thoroughly, more than likely it'll work for you, you know. So I think it worked for me. The first time it didn't because I didn't follow it thoroughly. You know, I did half of it, and in the book it tells you that half measures avail you nothing. You know, you can do half of it, but you're gonna get half of the results. You know, if you put in the work, these 12 steps will work for you, and almost anything that you don't like in your addiction. You can be addicted to many things. It doesn't even have to be alcohol and drugs, you know.
That's true, because it says, and something that I was looking at, it says a 12-step program that Bill Wilson developed has been successfully adopted to assist the suffering from many other types of addictive or self-destructive behaviors. Says, and father, many other recovering organizations such as Narcotic Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Sexaholic Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Debtors Anonymous, Smokers Anonymous, Workaholic Anonymous. So it goes into a whole broad, I guess what you want to say, concept of who can become a part of this program, because AA isn't just for alcoholics. And you know, with the list that I just read off is for me. I went through the 12-step program. Like you say, you went through the 12-step program the first time you failed. You went back through it again. And hey, Deborah Harris, hey, you said that right. It only works if you work it. It works if you work it. Yes. Oh, Emotional Anonymous as well. Yes, girl. That too. And so you went through the program. Later on in 1992, you went through the second program, and it worked for you, the 12 steps. You got off drugs, you got off alcohol, and you got off cigarettes. So, you know, and I think you briefly talked about that. So talk about that again. And how did the 12-step program, what did it all involve for you, just briefly?
Well, first of all, it involves your willingness. You know, if you want this program to work, you got to be willing to do it. You know, it can't be because, you know, you might lose your job, or the wife is mad at you, or you can't see your kids, or you keep going in and out of jail, you know, or you're feeling sorry for yourself today. You know, if you want to do that, you know, you got to do it like with everything you got, you know, you got to want your soul back. I wanted my soul back. I didn't want anything else back. It wasn't about money, jobs, none of that stuff. You know, I was willing to give all of that up just to get my soul back. So when I went in there 100%. And I think that's why it's been working for me all these years. They asked me what was I willing to do, you know, to stay clean. And I told them I was willing to do whatever it took, you know. When I was in rehab, I was sitting there and I was looking at the sidewalk. You know, I knew I had 30 days, you know, to get it right. I knew I didn't have another chance, you know, to go out there and fail again. You know, I knew it. I knew my life was at stake, you know, not the part where you die, the part where you continue living stupid. And I didn't want to continue living stupid, you know.
So they told you that your brain was trying to kill you. And one of the guests that I had on the show, Joanne, another guest, she said that the voices in her head was talking to her. So just talk briefly about they telling you that your brain was trying to kill you.
Well, they sit you down and in one of the classes, a guy just point blank said, you know, we have a brain that's trying to kill us. And he kind of explained that, you know, we have a brain that overrides everything. You know, it runs our pleasure center and it likes what it likes. So once you introduce something new into your brain pattern, you know, if it likes it, it's off and running. And it's going to nag you until you do it. You know, it doesn't matter if it's safe or if you're in love, it blocks all of that, you know, and it just wants what it wants. It doesn't matter about your safety and all the things that make sense, because it doesn't make sense, because you're now chemically dependent. So knowing that, you know, once you realize it and maybe look at it that way, you got to realize, you know, they got a triangle, you know, and each point, you know, mind, body, and spirit. So you got to have a balance of all three. So, you know, you can lose it right there, but you know, your spirit can override that, but you got to build your spirit up. Your spirit got to be coming from a place that gave you the spirit in the first place. It can't be the spirit from a bottle. You know what I mean? And a lot of alcoholics, their spirit is in the bottom of a bottle. You know, our spirit comes from God. We got it from day one. So this is the spirit that you got to work on to override that other spirit, or at least that's what I try to do. You know, I knew about God and I knew how to ask for help when I needed it. So that was one of the things that helped me. When some of the people, you know, you got people that don't believe in God, you got the agnostics and all of they don't believe in God, and it's kind of difficult for them to latch on to something, you know, that can get them back some form of balance in their life, you know.
Yeah.
And I had that, and it worked for me. But these 12 steps, they give you some new rules to live by. They give you some new rules to live by. And if you work them, they'll work for you, you know, but you got to be willing to put in the work, you know. They say half measures avail us nothing. So I was willing to do whatever it took. So, yeah.
See, now, like with me, when I went through the 12 steps, see, I'm an emotional, compulsive binge eater, and I eat addictively. So when I got to the point to where I was like, I tell you this short, very brief story. I was at work one day. Hey, I got chips behind my computer, got stuff stuffed in my pocket. And I was like, God, I need your help. I really need your help, God. I go back to the back room in the supply closet. And I'm standing back there and I'm asking God for help. God, I really need you, God. I don't want to live like this no more. I don't want this to be a part of my life. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and he said, Mildred, he said, you just like this caterpillar. You know, as a matter of fact, I was about the size that I am right now. And he said, you're just like this caterpillar, you know, caterpillar crawl on the ground is real big, you know, and he barely can move. He said, but it goes, get on a leaf and it just eat all the time. He said, but what you don't see is that inside of that caterpillar is a butterfly. He said, there's a day coming that butterfly is going to attach itself to the bottom of a leaf. And it's going to go through this thing called metamorphosis. But when it comes out, it's a butterfly. And that butterfly is going to soar. And I was like, God, you know, I'm a butterfly. And teacher, remember, put that picture up. This is when I came out of that cocoon. That's what I looked like. I went from this to this. This was the butterfly that he said was inside of me. But the first thing that I had to do was come to realize, you know, get into those rooms. So I started in this 12-step program, you know, and this is the result of the 12-step program. But thank you, DJ Run. Well, let me tell you what happened with that, because I relapsed, started going through life showed up. But as they say in the rooms, that's not a reason, you know, to relapse. So what that does, it brings you back to chapter 5 of AA in how it works, because he said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our program. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. You know, he said it's a simple program. Bill said it's a simple program, but you just got to give yourself completely to it.
Yeah.
I was one of those half measures availeth much. You know, I was there, you know, working it for a while. Then I got tired of calling 4 people a day. I got tired of going to 3 meetings a week. You know, I got tired of all the prep it takes, you know, to prep this food. And you know, and I'm like, oh. So, hey, this is the result. Back where I started from. Yeah. But that butterfly is still there. You know what I'm saying? That butterfly is still present. That beautiful soaring butterfly is still there. So she just waiting to that opportunity. You see that girl? She just waiting. Y'all see that girl? She just waiting to that opportunity, because it's coming back. You know, it's coming back. And he said, those who are incapable of being honest with themselves. So that's the next thing. You got to be honest with yourself. I'm sitting here tonight being honest about myself and about my failure and about my relapse, because, you know, I just got to pick it back up and get back working. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, so talk about that.
Well, yeah, the honesty thing. Most of us have trouble being honest. A lot of people have trouble being honest with anyone, let alone themselves, you know, which is actually the first step. You know, we admitted that we were powerless, you know, over drugs and alcohol, and that our life has become unmanageable. And that's the first step, you know, getting honest with yourself. you know, and admitting that you actually have a problem. You know, there ain't nothing wrong with me. I can handle it. I can take it. You know, just one more drink won't hurt, and it does. You know, just one more hit before I go home. You know, and it wind up 3 days instead of 20 minutes. You know, just not being honest with yourself. In this program, it's vital that you get honest with yourself. So, you know, that's the first step right there. We admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. So once you admit that, that's the first step. Just admitting that you got a problem. You know, that's the first step, which is that's gonna put you on your way. If you can walk in them rooms and sit down and say that, you know. If you can go to one AA meeting, you know, they told me like, okay, you got to get a sponsor. I was like, oh my God, I hate people, you know. But I had to go walk up to a guy. I had to sit in a room. I had to walk up to a guy that had what I wanted, you know. This guy was he wasn't but a year clean. And I was like, oh, I want a year. If I could just get 1 year, you know. So I walked up to him, would you be my sponsor? And he was like, oh yeah, sure, come on, go with me. So we hooked up, we did some coffee, you know. I stayed on the west side of LA where all the coffee shops were, all the AA people were, you know, and he said, I need you to do 30 meetings in 30 days. And I was like, okay. And I lived in those meetings, you know, and yeah, I was honest about wanting to get clean, you know, and whatever they asked me to do, I did it. You know, my willingness was there, you know, because I didn't want to go back to where I was, you know. I don't want to go back to where I was.
See, and the thing with the food addiction, I can talk about it from a food addiction standpoint. You know, the thing with food addicts, you know, we don't want to admit that we're a food addict. We want to compulsively eat, and we're going to binge. Food addicts, let me keep it with me. Let me keep it with me. As they tell you in the rooms, keep it with yourself, keep it on yourself. You're going to binge. You may go on, you know, you may put something in your mouth, and when that brain get a hold of that taste, you may want that thing every day. And it may take you a month of eating that thing every day to get over it.
Yeah, your brain likes what it likes.
It likes what it likes. And when it wanted, I don't care what it is. When it wanted then. And you may say, you know, food addicts always starting to diet, always. Yeah. Always. And it's always going to be Monday.
Illegal drugs are hard to get at. Food is not hard to get at.
Food's not hard to
get at. Which makes it twice as hard. You know?
Well, you say, well, you got to eat. Yeah, you have to eat, but you don't have to eat what you eat.
Right.
You have to eat. So we always want to start on Mondays. You know what I'm saying? But Mondays never come. When they say, you know, it's Tuesday, I'm going to start Monday. They say, you know, it's that Monday. And they say, you know, it's the following Monday. And they say, you know, because you never get to the day that you're going to start, because it's that brain, that voices in your head.
Yeah, one more baby back ain't going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm. So, that's what we say, because that's what we think.
Yeah, you know, one more drink and, you know, you're out there in your car like this, 3 a.m. in front of the bar, you know, just one more. Mm-hmm. And your brain will tell you to do things, and it'll nag you, you know. If you smoking cocaine, you know, just one and you're on your way, and you can't get no higher than the first one. But your brain will just nag you, because your brain loves it so much. That euphoric thing the first time, it'll have you sitting there for 3 days at a time. You know, so I know, I've been there. You know, it'll have you crawling in the carpet. You know,
it's the same as food. You know, it'll have you hiding food from yourself. You eat something, you put the bag under the seat. Next thing you know, you got all these little wrappers under the seat. You got a trash can full of wrappers, you know, because you try to hide your food from folks. You know, it's basically it's no different, really. It's just a different substance, you know. But that same spirit, but a different substance.
Yeah, I had a friend she died off of just regular grocery store dinner wine. Locked herself in the house several occasions till eventually one day we found her. She just drank herself to death. Just drank herself to death. Just, so readily available. You ain't got to go through nothing to get it. You ain't got to hang out no alleys at 3 a.m. It's right there waiting for you. You go in a restaurant, it's there. You go in the grocery store, it's there. And your brain, it could be alcohol or drugs. It could be another person. We have addictive personalities. We're human beings, and we have addictive personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Our brains can fall in love with anything. The worst person in the world, if once you latched onto him, it's like, oh my God, he can change. I can fix him. I just love him, or I ain't never leaving you. You ain't going nowhere. You can't leave me. It's just it's that brain. It'll get you. You got to realize it. Once you recognize it, you can overcome it. Some people don't even know what's going on with them. So,
and I just want to say this real quick before we go, because our time is right at hand.
mm-hmm.
One thing that Bill said, and Dr. Smith said, remember that alcohol or whatever it may be, alcohol, food, sex, gambling, shopping, lying, stealing, whatever your addiction may be.
Mm-hmm.
He said, remember that it's cunning, it's baffling, and it's powerful. And without help, it is too much for us.
Too much.
Unless we get that help,
can't do it by yourself.
You can't do it by yourself.
No. Some people can.
Have the help of God.
Some people can. True addict like me, I needed help.
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked for it and I asked God for it, He put me right where I needed to be. So it's one of the reasons why I'm here today. I need to share this with somebody, and let them know that it does work. I got to live drug and alcohol free now for almost 30 years, so it's a blessing, and it comes from God, may we find him now.
May we find him now.
Yeah, it's in the book, all of that is in the book. You're going to see God mentioned in the book on several occasions, so hopefully we can come back and the first step, we admitted we were powerless, maybe we can come back and talk about the second step sometime. So.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show tonight. Tell them how they can get in contact with you.
John Hurd 47 at gmail.com. So
and I do want you all to tune in next week for the round table of Let's Be Real About It, and also order my book, Truth, My Closet Secrets Revealed, and hear my crazy life story, as well as my brochure, Hear Me or Cry from the Wound. You can send me an email to iheartministries@gmail.com, and I will send you the information on how to order. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel, I Heard Ministries, Saturday 4.22, Guest Towns. Special thanks to our viewers who watch the show nationally and internationally. I would love to hear from you. Please send me an email to iheartministries@gmail.com.
Love your book.
Thank you. To let me know if the show has been a blessing to you. So until next week, may the peace of God reign, rule, and abide in your hearts. I'm Mildred T. Thank you for watching.